So, ready? Camera?
Yeah.
We're all good? Okay. Okay, so guys started. Apparently Nelly was stopped behind a train, Okay, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. This is the 2021 federal election information session for the Tri-City constituencies. And today's session is organized by the Tri-City Chinese Community Society, the TCCS. And today is day 8, countdown to the election. So we appreciate all the candidates for your time who can make it to the session to listen to and to talk to the local Chinese community. Welcome and thank you. 各位朋友们，在线的朋友们 online， 大家好，欢迎参加由三联市华人联合会 TCCS 主办的2021年联邦大选说明会。今天呢，三联市2个选区的5位候选人来到了现场，解读各党的政纲，争取我们选民，特别是华语选民的支持。那么首先我向大家介绍这个候选人以及我们今天有幸请到的各位嘉宾。Now, please allow me to introduce the candidates. And this is by first name alphabetical. And they have a different sequence coming to their speeches based on random draw. So I'm going to start with Ms. Benita Zarillo, NDP candidate for Port Moody, Coquitlam. Laura Dupont, NDP candidate for Port Coquitlam. Nelly, we're still waiting. Nelly Shin from Conservative for Port Moody Coquitlam. Ron McKinnon, Liberal candidates for Port Coquitlam, and Will Davis, Liberal candidates for Port Moody, Port Coquitlam. We also have the president of TCCS, 我们三联华人联合会主席 Linda, and the directors and production team of the TCCS. We have Ella Zhu, Wang Xiao, Michael. Did I miss anyone in the room? No, that's it. Okay, thank you for doing the production. And it's our honor to have special guests here, Mr. Kong Qingcun from the Chinese Canadian Society for Political Engagement. This is 加拿大华人参政议政促进投票联盟华人投票联盟主席孔庆存先生，然后2位秘书长和副秘书长龙啸云和景彤。Dr. Ali Wang, 王丽博士 the Chinese Canadian Go to Vote Association, 加拿大华裔投票促进会，王丽博士。Thank you for being here with us. So I'm going to start by inviting Linda to do a very, very short introduction and a welcome speech to all the candidates and guests.
Hi, everyone. So the Tri-City Chinese Community Society, it's a long profit and long religions and long politic community society. 那大家好，我是三联华人联合会的会长 Linda。那么我们今天这个和候选人见面的这个会议，只是做一个说明会让大家了解各党派的政纲和政领，积极参与投票。Thank you for everyone.
Okay, thank you, Linda. So to the candidates, some general arrangements for today. So today, this is not a debate. When discussing your party's platform and possibly commenting on other party's platform, we can be hard on issues, but please be soft on people, okay? And each candidate will have 15 minutes to present the platform of your party and show how it's engaged or benefit the Tri-City residents. This 15 minutes would include the interpreter's time. And there will be a reminder at the 14th and the 15th minute. It will be by Allah. And if we collect any good questions during the session, we will be asking them at the end of the session. And each candidate expect to have 3 minutes to answer the question. And we will have a reminder at 2.5 and 3 minutes. If there's no good questions coming, because we did a question collection beforehand, then that will be the end of the session, okay? So just give the candidates a time to ask questions in the chat. Before the session, we've collected questions from the local community, mostly Chinese speaking. And those are the questions, the 4 questions we asked. Just gonna quickly read through them. Hopefully you can address those questions in your speech. So question 1. What are the steps your party will take to fight the hate and the attacks to the Asian Canadians, particularly related to COVID? Any solid short-term actions in addition to a long-term education? So we know, like, movie of Shang-Chi and Legend of Ten Rings, those things help. But from a governmental and a parliamentary level, what actions can be done in the short term to really help make a difference? That's the question, okay? Question 2, with some parties proposing to ease the real estate market and limit foreign buyers, what measures will be taken to ensure the local community members are not wrongfully targeted? Question 3, many residents, particularly the youth, suffered from mental health challenges. The cultural differences, the language barriers, and the COVID isolations add to the negative impacts on people's mental health. What actions you and your party is planning to take to address this challenge? Question 4, if you are elected, what resources you're planning to help mobilize to help Tri-City residents with Tri-City specific issues? Those are the 4 questions, okay? So now just bear with me the Chinese version. 在说明会之前呢，我们3联华人联合会向华裔社区搜集了今天我们想要提的问题。那么经过整理呢，下面这4个问题问到的是最多的。我们希望各位候选人能够在他们谈话当中着重谈这几个方面。第一个问题，您所在的党准备采取怎样的有效措施来制止新冠疫情以来针对亚裔和华裔的仇恨和袭击？第二个问题，本次大选几个党派提出了限制外国买家平抑房价，这个过程中怎样保护本地亚裔不会受到不公平的待遇？第三个问题 ，3 2 3， 华裔和亚裔的青少年呢，因为语言文化方面的差异，遇到很多心理方面的问题。那么疫情和隔离呢，让这种问题更加严重。请问您的党派准备采取哪些措施来帮助这个群体？第4个问题，如果您当选的话，准备给3联市的居民带来哪些针对本地的福利？这个问题都挺难的哈，我们看看我们这个各位候选人怎么样答复。Now I'm going to pass the stage to the candidates. We know we did a random draw at the beginning, so the order of coming to the stage is we start with Benita, and then Ron, Will, and Laura. And if Natalie comes in, she'll be the 5th. Okay? Yeah.
And do you want me to use this one, or does it matter?
Either way you feel comfortable.
Does this one go up a little bit? Sorry to
Sure
ask.
can try that.
Sorry, should have thought of that, but I'm thinking that's stand instead of sitting. If not, it's okay. Oh, yeah, very good. Very good, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you can take it.
I'm just going to hold it because I think it's a bit better. Is it on? Yeah? Great, thank you. Ni hao, my name is Benita Zarillo. I'm the NDP representative for Port Moody Coquitlam. I respectfully acknowledge that I'm living and working on the unceded, traditional, and ancestral territory of the Coquitlam. Wanted to let you know that I am a 3-term city councillor in the city of Coquitlam. I have a sociology degree from the University of Manitoba, a computer science degree from CDI in Montreal, and also a human resource management diploma from the University of Calgary, all which have come in very handy in my work as a politician. Here in this community, we are facing serious challenges. Many of them were mentioned earlier. The pandemic, a housing crisis, and growing inequalities that are leaving too many behind. Throughout this whole pandemic, throughout these times, I've been with you here, alongside you, to fight for your small businesses, your families, and for housing for everyday people. Housing affordability is at a critical point here in the Tri-Cities. For decades, Liberal and Conservative governments have turned a blind eye to the skyrocketing house prices and have left the uncontrolled housing market with the ability to push people out of our community. Recently, I was on the doorstep of an airline pilot who we would think would have a good salary, that was no longer able to afford their rent in this community and is looking to move away. I say enough is enough. I'm working hard right now on purpose-built rental, affordable purpose-built rental as one of the key short-term steps to get people into housing in this community. In addition, that is why when Jagmeet Singh called me to ask me to help him in the fight for people, of course I said yes. Jagmeet and his team has held this government, Justin Trudeau's government, accountable throughout this crisis of our generation here in Canada. Making sure that families could pay their bills and businesses could keep paying their employees was top of mind for Jagmeet and the NDP. All this time, the Conservatives sat on the sidelines offering no support for people. We wanted to make sure that people could pay their bills, they could increase the wage subsidies so that they could keep their employers, and so that businesses could stay afloat during this pandemic. We need to make sure that the ultra-wealthy pay their fair share. This is a key area of the NDP platform. We need to make sure that our economic recovery does not fall on the shoulders of the everyday person and on our small businesses. Also wanted to talk a little bit about healthcare, because we know we've all been impacted with our health over this last 2 years. Underfunding in healthcare and long-term care has impacted the most vulnerable among us. Let me be clear that we know for sure that senior care and profits don't mix. The NDP will take profits out of long-term care and ensure our seniors live with dignity and have the resources that they need. The Liberals, I want to talk a little bit about some of the racism that we've experienced and that the Asian community has experienced over the pandemic. We know that the Liberals have missed opportunity after opportunity to make Canada more inclusive. Last summer, the Prime Minister took a knee and agreed that systemic racism is a problem in every institution in Canada, but has failed to actually do anything to stop it. We need to take bold action. Jagmeet Singh and the NDP have a plan to actually address systemic racism, creating a national action plan to dismantle the far-right extremist and white supremacist organizations, adopting national standards for identifying and reporting hate crimes, countering online hate, and making social media platforms legally responsible for their content and for removing hateful content, collecting race-based data. This is something that we're talking about seriously lacking in our municipalities as well, is this disaggregated race-based data to help us make decisions to keep people safe. And tackling employment discrimination and the racialized wage gap. And it was asked at the beginning, what are we going to do here locally in the Tri-Cities? And absolutely, we need to start leaning on our not-for-profit partners and partners like TCCS. Too many people that have reached out to me over these last 18 months don't have a safe place to receive justice for these crimes, these assaults, this aggression that's happening to them in the community. So absolutely, immediately, we can do a better job of coordinating our not-for-profits that are working on this, and to have safe access points for community members to report it and to feel like they're getting justice and they're being heard. I'll close that one out just by saying that we need safe spaces. I do a lot of work with women. I do a lot of work with genders. And women and elderly women are being disproportionately affected by this over the pandemic. And it's absolutely heartbreaking that there's no safe place for them to get justice. So I do also think we need to have some gender-specific opportunities for this to be reported. Over the past 2 years, Jagmeet Singh and the NDP have fought for the needs of Canadians. We've held Justin Trudeau accountable to the people in a crisis of our generation. And so I look forward to joining with him in Ottawa to tackle another key issue in this riding, which is climate change. The fires this summer have been horrendous. And I think most of the people in this community have been impacted by it. Whether you were there yourself or a family member, or it limited your access to get to family members, we were impacted by these fires. Across the globe, we're seeing the impacts of not taking a transition to renewable energy seriously. We've been let down over the past 6 years on the fossil fuel subsidies and growing emissions. We need to get serious about this just transition, and we're going to take bold action as the NDP to make sure we have a planet to pass on to our children and grandchildren. And I know this is specifically of interest for the Tri-City Chinese Community Society, but all people that immigrate to Canada. Our air, our water, our land, it is the cleanest, the freshest, and I know this is something that absolutely matters in this community. We have a pipeline that is looking to expand through our community. It really isn't the will of the people at this point in time to do that, and the NDP is going to be standing firmly on ensuring that we take this transition to clean energy seriously. We have seen it for decades, the records of the conservative and liberal governments when it comes to solving real problems. We have delay or deny, and ultimately we're disappointing the community, or they're disappointing the community. The NDP, on the other hand, have been steadfast and courageous in their commitment to people and the planet, proving that when you send a new Democrat to Ottawa, we get to work for you. And I'm asking for your vote here in Port Moody, Coquitlam. I'm Benita Zarillo, and I will hit the ground running for you. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't give you the chance to do that.
所以我尽量的翻译他刚刚说我们这后新民主党 Benita Zarillo 他们这样说的几个重要的那个问题。第一个是这几年来这个社区已经面临很艰难的挑战，不管是那个房屋的危机，或是那个收入的不平等，还有更多很多的小企业和您家庭的日常生活，都因为这疫情的关系影响很大。这十几年来，自由党和保守党的政府对这个永远在涨的房价视而不见，也没有受控制房地产地的市场，导致很多家庭都要被他的家园被搬到其他的地方住这样子。最近他在拜访一个居民的时候，他是一个那个航空公司的机长。一个航空公司的机长那么高薪的工作，居然他也说他没办法在这里，他的储蓄不足以在这买房，适可而止了。所以这为什么当 Jagmeet Singh 我们新民主党的党的那个领导者，他打电话给 Benita Zarillo 的时候，来帮助这边居民的来为你奋斗，为你讨公道，他就答应了。因为 Jagmeet Singh 和新民主党，他们永远会对我们这一代的人的危机中，让 Justin Trudeau 承担责任，确保家庭能够支付账单，小企业可以继续支付员工的工资。也让我们的民众提供补助以支持，当然也要提出疑问，说为什么保守党一直袖手旁观，也质疑气候变化的现实。我们新民主党会确保所有的亿万富翁支付他们公平的那个份额。我们要确保我们的经济复基不会为您或您的小企业付出更多的代价。当然，医疗保险还有老年人的那个护理也非常重要。这几年来的资金的不足，影响到我们这些最需要照顾、最脆弱的人群们。我们要确保一点的是，老人年的护理和利润不能再混在一起。新民主党会让您的长期护理中有一个保障，也确保所有我们的老人家有尊重的生活，有尊严的生活着。自由党已经一次一次的错过了让加拿大和我们的家庭更有包容性的机会。当然，疫情中亚裔的那个种族歧视也非常的严重。Jagmeet Singh 和新民主党会有一个真正的计划 来实际的解决这个系统性的种族歧视的问题，也会定制国家的行动计划，消除所有白人至上的主义组织，也会也会帮忙我们警察们来至于仇恨犯罪的国家标准，也来拿这些仇恨的数据来帮助我们我们社会的安全。当然，也要解决就业上华裔的歧视与种族工资的差距问题。当然，今年的夏天的森林火灾非常可怕。我们也看到，我们一定要认真的对待这个火灾对我们的疫情。自由党已经让我们失望了，这6年来的让我们失望，不管是汽油的补贴，或者是那个汽油的排放量都由于增长。我们需要认真的对持这个森林火对我们家庭的问题。新民主党也会采取必要的很大胆的步骤，来确保我们子孙后代可以在这个 Tri-City 生活。这10几年来，我们已经看到保守党与自由党政府的在任何实际问题方面上的记录，他们永远是托辞或否认，让我们非常失望。但新民主党会在我们对您们家庭的承诺，永远的坚定的、勇敢的为您而战。希望您会让 Benita Zarillo 还有新民主党的胜选，为您们的家庭奋斗。谢谢。
Thanks. Washing McKinnon, Jiao Ron, Ni Hao, Ren Niman wa Gan Niman Ichi wa Han Gao Xing. Hello, my name is Ron McKinnon.
这个不用翻译了哈。
And I'm honored to serve as your Member of Parliament for Coquitlam Port Coquitlam for the past 6 years and now as your Liberal candidate.
我在过去6年就为这个地区服务，现在希望能再为你们服务。
I'd like to start by acknowledging that I am joining you today from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coquitlam First Nation and the shared traditional territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, Katzie, Squamish, and Stolo peoples, for whom this has been home since time immemorial.
我告诉大家，我今天来的这里的目的呢，就是为了这里的传统，还有一些地区 Coquitlam 那个第一个原住民那个地区来分享这个传统的就他们原来这个地方就是他们原来住的这个地方。
Coquitlam Port Coquitlam is a vibrant, diverse community. I live here. It's where my wife and I have lived for 30 years. It's where we raised our daughters. This is home.
对我来讲 Coquitlam 跟 Port Coquitlam 呢，就是一个充满一个热情，还有一个文化分散的一个文化地区。我在这里已经住了30年了。对于我来说，跟我家庭来说，这就是我的家。我在这里就有了我一个女儿。
You may be surprised to know that almost 20% of us here in the Tri-Cities are Chinese Canadians, and many more have connections to China.
你或许会有点惊奇，这里其实有20%的居民都是华裔，还有其中很多人都跟中国方面都有一个联系。
When the pandemic started, we heard that Asian Canadians were targeted and harassed in their daily lives, even more so than before.
自从有了这个新冠疫情以后呢，我们这里很多的华裔的加拿大人都被针对了，还有骚扰了，在这段时间来说，比以前多得多。
As part of your Liberal government, I am committed to fighting for a more inclusive Canada. This work has been happening across government with Minister Ng and Minister Chagger, who spearheaded our anti-Asian racism strategy. Minister Blair, Minister Blair to ensure community safety is part of this important conversation, and with community leaders from across the country.
作为我们这里的一个联邦政府，我对这一个话题由于我们那个独特性，我们加拿大，我跟我们很多的部长都见过面，还特别对这个对亚裔这个歧视方面的情况呢，做了很多的商谈，希望在还有其他加拿大各部分的地方，我们都有谈过这一方面的话题。
We've created a fund to support initiatives to fight racism, including to establish a national coalition to support Asian Canadians.
我们还组成了一个基金，来对这一方面的对种族歧视方面的一个全国性的对这里的华裔加拿大人有一个支持。
And over the years, I have connected with so many of you, friends, neighbors, community leaders, business leaders, and entrepreneurs. I hear your concerns, and I'm honored to carry your voices to Ottawa with me.
在过去那些年，我跟本地的很多朋友、邻居、社区领袖，还有一些企业主，都谈过这个问题。我很荣幸能够把你们的声音带到这个联邦政府里头。
Our community is diverse, but we have a lot in common. I know you're worried about climate change and protecting the environment, and I know how important it is to live in a safe and inclusive community, and I share your concerns about affordability. Our Liberal government has taken real action here, but we have more work to do, and we have an ambitious plan.
我们的社区虽然是很多元的，但是我们都有一个共通性，我们都害怕这个气候变化，还有要保护我们的环境。我们都希望大家对于住在一个安全一个很有独特性的一个社区都很重要。我们还有关于这个方面的，大家都应该知道的。我们的联邦政府呢，已经做了很多事情，在这里已经做了很多，针对这个情况做了很多事情，还有我们未来还有很多很好的计划。
Let me be a little bit more specific right now about climate change. We have, among many things that we've done already, We have put a price on pollution so that it's not free to pollute anywhere in Canada. We had to fight that all the way to the Supreme Court, but we won for you. We've created a clean fuel standard to help reduce the impact of shipping and those kinds of vehicles on our environment. We have mandated by 2035 that all new passenger cars and trucks will be zero emission. We have invested in alternative energies and sustainable energies and like geothermal and wind and solar. And we will meet our 2030 commitments for our Paris 2030 commitments. We will in fact exceed them. We have in fact adopted even more ambitious goals for 2030 than we had before. We have gone from 30% below 2005 emissions to 40 to 45%. We will meet our net zero commitment by 2050 as well, with measures such as zero emission cars, eliminating the export of thermal coal, and many of those kind of things. So we've come through some. Oh, 翻译。
OK， 刚才他的话有点长，我把它重点说一下啊。其实我们那个自由党政府对于这个气候变化方面呢，已经做了很多工作，而且在未来会有更多的行动对抗这个气候变化，还有这个排放方面的废气排放方面的问题。我们对国内的重工业的排放啊，可能造成了污染啊，还有对燃油还有天然气方面的行业呢，都做了很多方面的工作。希望呢，到2050年以后呢，实现这个零排放啊，还有再生能源啊，还有保护自然环境啊，等等，我们都做了很多工作。当然，这远远还不够，我们未来还会做更多的工作，针对这方面的情况做良好的改善。
谢谢。We've come through some tough times together. And now we have some important decisions ahead of us. And we need to hear from you. And that's what this election is all about.
我们都曾经经过一些比较困难的时间，现在呢，是我们做一个重要的决定。我需要听到你们大家的声音，所以这就是这一个选举现在需要的一个理由。
I think the choice is clear. We must move forward. On climate change and protecting our environment, we know how important it is to follow the science, to listen to scientists, to listen to experts and economists. Experts and economists have rated our plan and given us the highest grade among all political parties.
在这个气候变化方面呢，还有保护我们的环境方面呢，我知道这很重要，我们都要跟随我们的专家，还有这个科学家，对这方面呢，还有经济方面呢，都会提出我们计划，来达成一个更高要求的标准。
The last times the conservatives were in power, we saw them sideline scientists for a decade. This is too important. We cannot afford to do that again.
相信大家都记得以前保守党执政的时候呢，我们看到很多科学家都好像被放在一边了所以嘛，现在这很重要，我们不能再这样了。
And our small businesses and Canadian innovators need our continued support as we build back better and transition to a new green economy. We are delivering that support.
我们的行业还有我们的加拿大人都需要创新，尤其是在这个更好的一个低碳绿色一个经济方面呢，我们都不断的在这方面呢都提供这个支持，还有未来也会一样。
We need to move forward on $10 a day early learning and childcare. This is life-changing for young families and particularly women. This project was started here in BC and was announced right here in Coquitlam with the Prime Minister and Premier Horgan. The Conservatives have promised to end it, as we've seen them and the NDP do before. This, too, is too important, we cannot afford to do that again.
大家都知道小孩子每天10块钱的一个托儿费用，在这里呢，其实这里的NDP 政府呢已经贺耿这个省长已经做了很多工作，但是呢，假如是这个保守党上场呢，这一切都会没有了，所以这非常重要，我们不能再损失这一方面的一个支持。
And when we introduced Medicare in the 60s, we knew pharmacare was the natural next step. We know that pharmacare will have a critical impact on low-income families and seniors who can't afford their medications. And we've now, after a great deal of work with our provincial partners, we have now got all the pieces in place. It is starting to roll out right now, starting in Prince Edward Island. Let's make sure it gets delivered everywhere.
大家都知道这个医疗方面的问题，我们引进这个药物补助呢，在那个60年代，我们都知道对于一些低收入的家庭来说，这很重要，尤其是长者对这方面呢非常需要。我们对这方面呢已经一步步的进行了，现在呢开始在这个 PEI 方面呢已经开始了，我们希望在我们全国都能到处都有，一直继续下去。
And we have taken real action to make life more affordable for families. Tax breaks, home buyer incentives, support for students and our seniors. These changes are making a real difference for people, especially young families.
我们要有行动，对于这个一般年轻家庭的方面呢，有一个行动。关于这个税收啊，还有这个买房的方面的奖励啊，还有这一个老年人跟学生方面的都需要这一些的鼓励的。尤其是一些年轻的家庭，新组成的家庭。
This is our moment to decide where our country goes from here. We really can't afford to go backwards. We must keep moving forward. That's why I ask for your support once again. On September 20th, vote Ron McKinnon, vote Liberal, so that we can continue to move forward for everyone. 谢谢。
我们现在就是要做出一个很重要的决定我们的国家的方向是要向前走。我就是你们这一区的候选人 Ron McKinnon， 代表自由党，希望大家到时投我一票。
谢谢。
Thank you.
A little taller.
Good. Everyone good, right?
They're good? Yeah, sorry. We're going on the road after. We're going to have an act. Good afternoon. My name is Will Davis. It's a pleasure to be here. I am the Liberal candidate for Port Moody Coquitlam, and I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you, Linda. Thank you to the association and to honored guests. Thank you. I'd like to start. Oops, go ahead.
大家都这相信不需要太翻译了。我们这一位呢，就是库克伦跟这个 Port Moody 方面的自由党的候选人，叫 Will Davis。今天很荣幸来到这里，也很荣幸认识到很多新朋友，包括这个Linda， 还有其他的贵宾。所以今天来，我就跟大家说一下我应该说的。
I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, and in particular the Coquitlam.
OK， 我希望说一下，有些是像刚才 Ron 说的关于这个原住民方面的， 其他的有关的问题。
I'm proud to say that my family has chosen this community to raise our family. I have 5 beautiful children, and we are raising our children. We currently live in central Coquitlam, just past Coma Lake Village.
我有5个女儿，我就住在那 Como Lake Village 附近。我这个家庭我们都在这里，在这个高桂林市区已经有一段很长的时间了。
We spent some of the early years of my children's lives in Heritage Woods, raising our children there and attending Kinder Campus preschool, and have now, like I say, moved back towards Central Coquitlam and into the schools where my children are in French immersion.
我本来就居住在这个地方了，但后来就最近我又搬回来了。我女儿小的时候，我本来就住在这个地区哈。现在呢，我就住在中Coquitlam啦，希望在这个地区为大家服务。
I'm proud to represent this party that has already secured our PPE and vaccine manufacturing capacity. When the last conservative government led our country, that manufacturing capacity disappeared overseas. I'm proud to represent a party that asks the rich and the big polluters to pay more without needing to trade other things to get there.
我很荣幸能够代表民主党，因为在这以前呢，尤其是关于这一个 PPE 还有这个疫苗方面的生产的一个情况，以前这个保守党政府呢，就在对这个情况呢做得很差。我荣幸能够代表一个政党，代表自由党，希望那些富有的，还有对这方面环境造成污染的，能付出更多，而不会牺牲其他方面的服务。
Over the years, we've seen significant changes in Port Moody Coquitlam. This change has brought opportunity and diversity, but also challenges, particularly in the areas of sustainability and affordability. We need a local voice deeply rooted in our community to advocate for us in Ottawa.
在过去那些时候，在这个 Port Moody 跟 Coquitlam 这个地区呢，很多变化，这些变化呢，造成很多这里的产生一些机会啊，还有不同的多元的文化，但是也会带来挑战，尤其是这个可持续居住还有这方面的问题。我们在本地需要一个声音来扎根于我们本地的社区，来将我们的声音带到 Ottawa 里头。
As a broadcaster with the CBC in both French and English languages, and as a small business owner, I've always focused on supporting and amplifying underrepresented voices, from BC artists to new Canadians to vulnerable seniors during the pandemic. As a founding member of Protect Coquitlam's urban forest, I am equally committed to the fight against climate change and building a greener economy.
我曾经在这个 CBC 里头工作，我还有一些自己的小的企业。我注重于关于这一方面的声音，尤其是代表我们本地的一些艺术家、一些新移民来的加拿大人呢，还有一些比较脆弱的长者啊，还有在这个疫情方面受到一些打击。还有我是这个 Protect Coquitlam Urban Forest 的一个原来的一个会员，我对这一方面，尤其是对于这个气候变化方面呢，希望呢本地呢能够有一些更好的绿色经济。
And that's why I've put my name forward as the Liberal candidate. We have a climate plan endorsed by Andrew Weaver, former leader of the BC Green Party, has endorsed our candidates and our plan as the only credible science-aligned option nationally. We have a childcare plan that will create the new spaces we need while also saving families in our regions 5 times more than the conservative plan.
这就是我来这里代表民主党代表这个自由党竞选的原因。关于这个气候变化方面的一个计划呢，我们得到以前绿党这个领袖 Andrew Weaver 方面的关于这方面的意见，在全国性都有很好的认识。我们还有一个计划呢，将会制造更多的空间，这方面走得更远，能够让我们的家庭还有在我们的社区，比这个保守党政府的计划好5倍。
And since every Canadian deserves a safe and affordable place to call home, we have a housing plan that tackles every side of the problem, from increasing supply to faster saving for a down payment, to giving renters a path to ownership, and much more.
关于住房方面呢，我们有一个更安全还有更能够负担的一个计划，尤其是针对一些困难，关于像一些增加一些供应还有一些让一些家庭能够更快的付出他们的分期付款的首期，还有跟一些要租房住的人呢，更多方面的一个帮助。
Il y a 20 ans, j'ai décidé de venir ici, à Colombie-Britannique, pour faire ma vie.
对不起，这方面翻不到了，法文。
Does that mean you don't understand?
No, not really. 虽然我以前学过法文，但是都忘了差不多了。
20 years ago, I came from Quebec, or more than 20 years ago, I came here from Quebec seeking a fresh start and found a home. From Millardville to Heritage Mountain, this community took me in and is the place where we're raising our family. This is our home. And on September 21st, we hope to be proud to represent you.
在20年以前，我从这个魁北克过来，重新开始，就 Millardville to Heritage Mountain 那边，我相信大家都知道在什么地方了，就这个 Ilco 后面再走一些啊，这方面呢看一看了 ，OK， 我就在那边一直住到现在，我很高兴能够很荣耀的能够代表大家参加这一次的竞选。
I'd like to also address the questions that were brought to us. Very thoughtful.